再開始。
I now call the meeting to order. Item number 1, information papers issued since last meeting. There are 7 information papers issued to members. Please refer to item 1 on the agenda. There are 7 information papers. Item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting on the 20th of March 2015. We have 2 relevant papers, CB 4537 141501. The list of outstanding items for discussion. The next meeting will be held on the 20th of March at 10:45. The administration has proposed 3 items, widening of typo road charting section, detailed design and site investigation. Second, public transport strategy study, franchised bus service. Originally, we had a paper on the widening of typo road charting section. But it seems that something's wrong with the way the administration arranged things, so we have this item withdrawn for today. But I think we have time today, so if you want to ask questions, ask them anyway. I've asked them to move something forward for today's meeting, and they said they couldn't do it, so instead of 3 items for this monthly meeting, we're only going to have 2 today. And the third one, long-term arrangements for the operation of the Peak Tramway. You may recall that the license, the franchise was extended for 2 years previously. The administration regard this as a tourism item. So on the 23rd of March, they are going to report the long-term arrangements to the Economic Services Panel, and all members of this panel are also invited to attend that meeting. So we may be interested in looking at the transport elements of Peak Tramway services. Next item, dualling of Hiram's Highway between Clearwater Bay Road and Marina Cove and improvement to local access to Ho Chung is a paper 5371415 Please invite the administration's team to join us now. Today, we have the Under-Secretary, Mr. Yao Seng-mo, and Ms. Judy Chung, and also some officers from Highways Department, Mr. Po Kok Ming, Mr. Jimmy Chan, Mr. Siu Kang Chin from the Transport Department as well. So perhaps I will hand over the floor to the administration for a briefing, for introduction of this topic. Chairman, this is about the dualling of Hiram's Highway between Clearwater Bay Road and Marina Cove, and improvement to local access to Ho Chung, and also to brief members on the funding proposal. Hiram's Highway is the only principal road linking Sai Kung and East Kowloon and Cheung Kwan O. There is traffic congestion along some sections of the road during morning peak hours on weekdays and during afternoon peak hours on weekends and public holidays. Between PY Roundabout and Park Y, there are only 2 lanes. And if there's a road accident or if there are emergency road works, major disruption of traffic may result. So we believe there's an urgent need to carry out the proposed work so that we can add 1 additional lane for both direction of the traffic so as to meet the expected rising need and special emergency needs. So near Nam Pin Wai, we are also going to build a footbridge and to straighten the alignment there. And also near the residence districts, we are going to build some noise barriers. And we also improve Ho Chung Road and Lok Mei Chun Road near Hiram Highway to enhance the connectivity of Ho Chung area. Over the years, we have been working closely with the Cyclone District Council and locals to relieve traffic congestion and improve traffic situation there. We consider it necessary to carry out the work. We appeal to members to give your support so as to meet the needs of the residents. We have already done all the ground investigation and studies. If members support the proposals, we are going to go to the PWSC and then to the FC for funding approval. We are going to invite tenders very shortly, but the contracts will only be awarded after the funding approval has been approved. Work can commence in the third quarter, and the major works can be completed by 2020. And now may I defer to my colleagues for a PowerPoint presentation of the project. Chairman, members, good morning. Let me introduce to you this project 703TH. During of Hiram's Highway between Clearwater Bay Road and Marina Cove, an improvement to local access to Ho Chung. There are 6 parts in my briefing. First, the proposed scope of works, some details will be provided. Second, we will present the justifications. And then I'll be saying something about public consultation in respect of this project. And then I'll be talking about something of concern to members, and that is what we are going to do during the construction period so as to mitigate the impacts on traffic and on the residents there. Next, I will be talking about cost estimates and then timetable. On this map, you can see this is the map of Cyclone. This is Clearwater Bay Road. Near this residential development, it would merge with Hiram's Highway. And then it goes all the way to Nam Pin Wai. This is a roundabout at Nam Pin Wai. And this is the old alignment of Hiram's Highway. So we have this new highway, and this is the junction between the old and the new Hiram highways. At the Nam Pin Wai roundabout, going towards this direction, you can go to Park Wai and then Marina Cove. This is Lok Mei Village. For the first part of the proposed work, it would involve this location. Hiram's Villa, all the way to the junction between the old and the new Hiram's Highway. The length is 750 meters. Here we have 2 lanes going uphill and 1 lane the other way. And on both sides there are slopes. So that's why we can only provide 1 lane for the Cyclone bound traffic. We're going to cut the slope on the right-hand side, and widening will be carried out. We'll build some retaining wall to provide the space necessary for the addition lane on both directions. And then after the project, there will be 3 lanes for Kowloon-bound traffic and 1 carriageway, 1 additional carriageway for Cyclone-bound traffic.
We will also build a road divide to separate the traffic moving in and out of Sai Kung for road safety reasons. So safety will be very much enhanced. And secondly, from Nam Pim Wai to Pak Wai for this section of Hiram's Highway, at the moment we have, this is actually there's only one lane traffic on both sides, and also the alignment is rather unwanted. So it's about 900 meters. So we're going to convert this into a single two-lane carriageway to a dual-lane carriageway, both sides. So we're going to propose one additional lane on either side. And when completed, we're going to have two lanes going to Sai Kung and two lanes coming out from Sai Kung to Kowloon with a road divide in the middle. Thirdly, and this is the Ho Chung River. The Hiram's Highway now straddles the Ho Chung River. For the extension work, we need to dismantle the vehicular bridge straddling Ho Chung River, and we're going to build a new vehicular bridge. And to ensure that the Ho Chung River's drainage capacity will not be affected, we have chosen to build a new style vehicular bridge. That is, we will cross from one side of the river to the other side, and there is no need to build any to provide for any pylons or pillars. So the length of the bridge is about 47 meters. For the benefit of the residents who need to cross the Hiram's Highway, Hiram's Highway, we will provide additional crossing facilities near the Nam Pim Wai roundabout and here. We will build a pedestrian footbridge. This is a computer simulation diagram about what the pedestrian footbridge will look like when completed. Also, within the Ho Chung area, we are mainly relying on Ho Chung Road entering the Ho Chung area. The Ho Chung Road at the moment is only about 4 meters wide with dual lane traffic. And on both sides of the road, you do not have standard pavements, especially the pavement next to the river. The pavement is really rather narrow. One can say that there is almost no pavement facilities at all on the other side of Ho Chung Road. So for this project, we will also widen Ho Chung Road. The 4-meter wide road will be extended 6 meters. So that there would be, one lane of traffic on either side, and that there will be a 1.6 meter wide pavement on either side. We will also be, right now the Luk Mei Chun road goes from Hiram's Highway to Luk Mei Chun village, and this is how the road looks like at the moment. According to the arrow diagram, it's a cul-de-sac. When you reach here, you need to turn back. For the proposed project, one of the works we will carry out is to redefine the alignment, and we will also extend this section of the Luk Mei Chun Road by 300 meters and link it up with Ho Chung Road, so that in future this will be like a roundabout, and vehicles can use this road, and we can greatly improve the connectivity between the Ho Chung area and Sai Kung. For this project, there might be some noise nuisance cost to the residents nearby, so we'll be providing noise barriers to mitigate the noise nuisance cost to the neighborhood. we will build about 435 vertical single-leaf centilever noise barriers near Marina Cove, Park Villa. So we'll be building these noise barriers. There will be a total of 435 meters vertical noise barriers and about 280 meters long single-leaf centilever noise barriers to mitigate the noise nuisance. This project will also affect some of the public facilities in the area, for example, the RCP, the public toilet, and so on. And we propose for this project that we will re-provision these public facilities. For example, the RCP will be re-provisioned to Ho Chung. Same for the public toilet. At the front of the Ho Chung Road, there is a village office which will be re-provisioned to the area here. For all these re-provision facilities, we have already consulted the district council and the residents living in the area, and they are agreeable to the proposed re-provisioning of these facilities. Since the works will be carried out, some of the works involve the leveling of slopes, so we may need to conduct relevant geotechnical works and landscaping works as well. So those roughly are the major works involved in the project. Next, I'm going to explain to you the justifications for the project. At the moment, the Hiram's Highway is the only principal road linking Sai Kung to East Kowloon and Cheung Kwan O. Right now, the traffic volume is already very high, and the volume capacity ratio has already exceeded the ratio of 1. It's already 1.1 or above during the busy hours now. Under the circumstances, so long as you have a minor traffic holdup, it will result in serious congestion. Particularly from the Nam Pim Wai roundabout to the Pak Wai roundabout, on either side there is only a single lane of traffic. It is a dual lane carriageway, and whenever there is an accident or emergency road works to be carried out and one of the lanes will need to be closed, and there will only be a single lane open for traffic in both directions, as a result of which there will be serious congestion. Furthermore, as I said earlier on, in between Lam Tim Wai and Pak Wai, the road, the alignment is rather it's not straight, so we will straighten the road to enhance safety and also to cater for the growth of traffic volume in the future. We expect that by 2021 or 2031, if we do not, what would be the scenario if we do not carry out the proposed works? So between the Clear Water Bay Road and the New Hiram's Highway, we believe that the volume to capacity ratio will be 1.23. In between Nam Pin Wai roundabout and Park Wai, in 2021 it's going to be 1.27, and in 2031 more than 1.3. So the traffic then will be very, very congested. After we've completed these works, we can greatly enhance the capacity, and the volume to capacity ratio will be reduced to 0.4 or 0.5. After we've completed the road works, we expect that in 2031, during the morning peak hours, without the project, the time required to travel from Park Wai to the junction of Clearwater Bay Road will be about 12 minutes. After the work is carried out, it could be reduced to 4. So overall speaking, the proposed works involve providing one additional lane on either side of the road, which can relieve the traffic congestion and cater to the future growth in traffic volume, and also to cater for emergency situations. Over the last few years, we have been in close contact with the residents in the area regarding our proposed works. We have been liaising closely with the Sai Kung District Council and the Sai Kung Rural Committees. So basically, in our proposed work, we have already incorporated the views of the local residents. We've also consulted the village representatives from Ho Chung and Pak Wai. We've also consulted some of the MOCs in Luk Mei village and also the owners committee of the various residential developments, including Hiram's Villa, Marina Cove, the management company of the Marina Cove shopping mall, and so on. And the feedbacks more basically have been taken in consideration in our proposed works. Next, I'll walk you through the proposed works. Right now, there is only a single lane on either side of the road. During the works period, one principle we will maintain is that during the works period, we will not reduce the number of traffic lanes. And how can we ensure that? Now, in this cross-section diagram, you'll find that during phase 1, on both sides of, we will start the works on both sides of the road. On the left, for example, you see that we're going to level the slopes here. On the right-hand side, we're going to do the site formation, and we'll also be building a vehicular carriageway and so on. And after phase 1 of the works have been completed, then the existing traffic lane will be relocated here. That is the new connecting road. In other words, we'll move the vehicles to the right side of the diagram. So there will not be any reduction in the number of traffic lanes. And we will continue to focus on the leveling work on the left-hand side of the road and to provide for pavements and so on. After phase 2 of the work has been completed, then the existing carriageway will be relocated to the left-hand side. So the vehicles will travel along this side, and we will be repositioning the roads and the facilities on the right-hand side of the highway. And after all that is completed, we will build the central divide, and then after which there will be 2 lanes on both sides of the road with a central divide in the middle. Cost estimates. We've already completed our detailed design. We've also made reference of the latest price movements, including for the road works and the noise barriers and so on. And if we include also the consultancy fees and so on, we expect that it's going to cost $123 million, $0.11 million. Or 1.23 billion, and the contingency will be 118 million. So since the project will straddle over a number of years, so we will therefore would need to cater for cost variations, which will amount to about $424 million. So the total sum or cost for the whole project will be $1.774 billion. And that's the amount we'll apply to LegCo for funding. If the project were approved by LegCo during the current session, if funding were approved, then at the earliest, we can start work in the third quarter of 2015. The project will take about 5 years, and we expect that it will be completed in 2020. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Book, for your very detailed briefing. It's abundantly clear now. So, members, may I remind you that according to Rule 83 or 84 of under our rules of procedure, you may have to declare your pecuniary interest. Either both direct and indirect interest will be should be declared. There are 4 or 5 members who would like to speak. Ms. Claudia Mo, Mr. Tang Ka-piu, Mr. Poon Siu Ming, Mr. Gary Fang. We have ample time today. Under Secretary, before you join us, I told members that one item was withdrawn from the agenda. It's a waste of our time. I said I was disappointed. I hope next time you would treasure the time we have for our meetings more. First member to speak, Ms. Claudia Mo. Thank you. This is a major project. You're going to level the slope, and the residents, dwellings will be affected. The RCP will have to be reprovisioned, and you have done some consultation, but you haven't mentioned anything, any implications for the wildlife and the ecology, the natural environment. You're going to cut the slope, right? Well, I'm familiar with that section of the highway. I use it frequently. My impression is that the bottleneck for Kowloon to Sai Kung traffic will be shifted from Ho Chung to Park Wai. So what will happen in the future to Park Wai? Have you estimated the increase in the traffic of volume? Or are you just looking at the congestion issues and the traffic safety issues? Under Secretary, let me respond to the last 2 questions of Ms. Claudia Mo. On environmental implications, actually, is in the paper, paragraph 21, 22, 23. We have to set out the environmental implications, and there's a paragraph on 3 implications. I'll ask my colleagues to supplement with details. For the second question, well, it's right to say that for the traffic going to Sai Kung, beyond Park Wai, you have to go to the Sai Kung market. There are different opinions, and as to what should be done, and there are different difficulties to resolve. But for this particular section, the traffic congestion is more serious, and it has reached a more mature stage for implementing a solution. For the other sections, we have been talking to the locals on how to handle the problems there. Actually, the local opinion is divided on whether we should widen Hiram's Highway. So we need to discuss with them. We do see this in terms of traffic planning and development. So we are not going to ignore other problems. That's my response to your second question. After the road widening project is done, it's good for road safety, and then we can have capacity to deal with emergency incidents. And we also expect the rural population will increase, especially in big villages, Ho Chung or Pak Sa Wan, or Pak Kong, Sai Kung Mei, and Haven. So they are going to see population increases. So that's why we need to do more for the road leading to the north of Sai Kung. Who will talk about the environmental implications? First of all, this project is not covered by the EIA Ordinance Schedule 2. It's not a designated project under the ordinance. But we have conducted a assessment, environmental assessment. The environmental study and an engineering review conducted cover the implications, environmental impacts of the project. We have submitted the findings to the EPD, and they have agreed to the proposed mitigation measures. I was also concerned about the wildlife implications. We have also conducted an ecological study. The findings show that the project will not have significant impact on the ecology. Mr. Tang Ka-piu. Thank you, Chairman. 2 questions. One, I noticed that it would cost $1.35 billion for the project itself, but then you have contingency fees, price adjustment provisions. So altogether, you are going to cost $1.7 billion. In other words, contingencies and price adjustments would take up 30% of the total project cost. Whether we are talking about a big project or a local project of this nature, it seems that 30% is the norm. It's much higher now. In the past, it's just 10% odd. I know you want to play safe. You don't want to see, well, you expect there will be overspending. So 30% will be provided for major projects or road projects like this one. Can you please explain why? And also, I quoted at the meeting of the transport panel in respect of an investigative report, saying that the government has different monitoring mechanism for public works projects vis-a-vis road projects. For road projects, you have no independent monitoring mechanism, and so usually road projects are more expensive than public works projects generally. I've asked people managing the engineering and firms and consultancy firms. They agree that if there's an independent oversight mechanism or the quantitative surveying, monitoring, costs can be kept lower. Are you going to do this in this project? Well, for the cost or price adjustment factor, we have a formula for all government projects. It's done under a formula. It's not that we are seeing that prices are high and therefore we provide a bigger factor. This is about providing for the cost estimates. And if the outturn figure is bigger than the estimate, then we need to provide a bigger price adjustment. In other words, it's calculated according to a formula. It's not something we just specify. So for the next project, for Taipo Road widening project, you are going to provide 30% for a price adjustment as well, right? Because it's going to happen during the same period. Well, you can assume that during the same period, the provision for price adjustment will be similar. Have you considered that there are public works projects which will be affected by the low efficiency of this council, and many construction workers are concerned that they will be out of jobs 2 years later? Before you carry out the tendering exercise, the information is already available to the contractor. They will know the price adjustment factor. But there are factors which are not related to the market. For example, when this council can give the green light, well, it's within the jurisdiction of the council, but it's not reflected in the factor. The factor takes into account material costs and other related project costs. As we did in the past, we came here to apply for funding approval. For example, there were funding approvals given in 2009. At the time, the costs were lower, so we did not provide for a big price adjustment factor, and that's why there was the need to come back to apply for supplementary provision later. So the estimate is done based on a formula. These are all government projects. If the situation or the factor goes down, the price adjustment goes down, we're not going to spend all the money approved. The money will go back to the Treasury. This is just a provision. I have 2 complicated questions and 3 more straightforward ones. First, one of the sections, according to you, has exceeded the VC ratio during peak hours is 1.1 and something over 1. And if you go to the FC within this year and it gets the approval, the project will be completed in 2020. So we're going to have big problems in the coming few years because for the coming 5 years, the VC ratio will still be over the capacity. So you are very optimistic. If the approval cannot be granted within this year, you may be able to get the approval next year. And then the 1.1 VC ratio, 1.2, 1.3 VC ratio will be a reality. Why do you have to wait until the VC ratio is over 1? Why didn't you come 3 years or 5 years ago? At that time it was 0.8, 0.9, and you estimate that the VC ratio would exceed 1 or go all the way up to 1.7 or something, and you would be forward-looking and come to talk to us. It should have happened when the VC ratio was 0.7, 0.8. You have to explain. You know that. Secondly, as Mr. Tang Ka-piu puts it, $400 million out of the $1.7 billion will be for price adjustment. It seems on the high side. According to your track record, $400 million may end up to be $800, $900 million, as Dr. Lo Wai-kok has said. You have fattened up your contractors. Do you have? Why don't you consider the all-inclusive contracts, and that they would have to? The contractor would be required to take up the responsibility to take into account price adjustment. I don't know whether you are going to get tenders with higher tender prices as a result. For the downhill, it's a 3 down and 1 up lanes, 1 uphill lanes. And then there will be a merging point. Can you really handle that? And then you will want to dismantle a bridge. You did not say much about that. You have to dismantle. Are you going to build a new one first before dismantling the old one? Because we need a bridge all the time. Under Secretary? Chairman, concerning your criticism with regard to the timetable, we know that the current situation is not ideal, and if we do not embark on the project quickly, the congestion in the future will be even more serious. Why didn't you come to us 3 or 4 years ago? Yes, actually it should have been proposed earlier when the project was proposed. Opinion was rather divided in the local districts. We spent quite a lot of time to talk to them, and we changed the design to take into account their concerns. Actually, in the community, there are people who oppose to the project.
When was the first time you went to the district council? I think it was in 2007. that we first consulted the district council. However, in the course of the discussion, and other than having to convince the district council, and we're not just talking about the district council, within the local community, especially in the rural areas, which are more, those who live in the rural areas, they have some strong views about the further development of Sai Kung. So were the people who belong to the green groups. So we took a lot of time talking to them. And after some of our designs have been proposed, they also made various comments as to how we could improve on them. So there were, all kinds of, many rounds of consultation. In fact, we have spent a lot of time. Okay, I will allow the members to ask other questions first before you, if there's time, you can answer my other questions. Your other question regarding whether we can ask the contractors to, well, to be fair, I want to first let other members to have a chance to ask the questions before you answer the rest of my questions. Thank you. I think the chairman's questions are also questions I want to ask. And now, my question is that you want to start the projects by the third quarter of this year, and you expect the project will be completed in 2020. So it would appear that a lot of works are involved. You're going to build footbridges and bridges and so on. So when the work starts, does it mean that all the works will commence at the same time, or you're going to do it in stages? Could you tell us which part of the project will start first and when will they be completed, for example? Secondly, you told us that there were views from the district, organizations. You said that you've consulted some of the village representatives. In your discussion, did they insist on their own point of views, or have you already arrived at a consensus with these people? And thirdly, one of the works involved in the project is the landscaping work, which cost about $40 million. Could you give us more details regarding the details of your proposed landscaping works? Under Secretary? Well, to answer the first question, and also the last question, I'll ask my colleagues from the Highways Department to respond. Regarding views of the local representatives, we have incorporated most of the views from the local community regarding the alignment of the roadworks and where we're going to reprovision the bridge and so on, and where we're going to reprovision facilities. We've incorporated many of the views of the local residents. Of course, when we start our project, we will not rule out other objections. Honestly, for example, frankly speaking, in this project, land resumption will be involved. And in the course of land resumption, there are people who have occupied government land. We may need to clear such sites, and there might be objection from these people. But I believe that there will be only a small number of such cases which we can manage. And I'll ask the Highways Department colleagues to answer the other questions. To answer the members' two other questions regarding the timetable for the commencement of the works. For areas where we could access the site more easily, that is works to be carried out on government land, we want to start work this year, and we will start with those areas, including what members saw in the slides, that is starting from Clearwater Bay Road to the new Hiram's Highway, I think near Hiram's Villa. Government land will be involved in that section. We will work on that section first. Secondly, how are we going to deal with that bridge? The question asked by the chairman. The chairman is correct. We will need to ensure that there won't be a bridge straddling the Ho Chung River at any time. So next to the existing bridge, we're going to build a new bridge, which is also 2-lane. And when completed, then the vehicles will use the new bridge. We will next dismantle the old bridge, and on the same location, we'll build a new one. So we're going to build a new bridge, dismantle the old bridge, and build another new bridge. So altogether, there will be 2 new bridges. They are not linked. The 2 are parallel, actually, to each other. Structurally, they are 2 separate bridges, so that it will not affect the dual lane traffic going into Sai Kung and out of Sai Kung. Members, I declare that I am a Sai Kung District Councillor. I've been member of the Sai Kung District Council for more than 10 years. We've been discussing the widening of the Hiram's Highway for more than 10 years. I'm grateful to Mr. Pok's briefing, which indeed it was very detailed. It is true that during peak hours and on weekends, Hiram's Highway is very congested. In Sai Kung, many people choose to live in Sai Kung because they want to live in a quiet environment. And they have a different view regarding the traffic congestion caused by minor traffic accidents in Sai Kung. Last time, during the Year of the Goat, many people in Hong Kong drove to Sai Kung and stay away from the crowded areas, so that even during the non-peak hours, traffic was very congested. So the Sai Kung District Council, in fact, every time its T&T committee met, it urged the Transport Department to expedite this project, and that is true. Now, I have 2 concerns. First of all, I'd like to refer to para 18 and 28 of the paper. In paragraph 27, some green groups are concerned that you're going to fell many trees. You say that you're going to maintain 2 old and valuable trees. I'd like to ask whether or not they will be preserved in situ, and also what's going to happen to the other trees. In paragraph 18, you told us that so far there are still 47 objections and proposals for amendment. In 2007, there were many residents and local groups, for example, Friends of Sai Kung, who had organized signature campaigns, and close to 2,000 people objected to the proposed widening of Hiram's Highway on such a big scale. I'd like to know what the changes you've made in the detailed design of the project to respond to the views of the local residents before you decided on the current design. To what extent have you responded to their aspirations? I'd like to thank Mr. Fan for reflecting. Pointing out that over the years we've been liaising very closely with the local residents, and I'd like to defer to the Highways Department to answer Mr. Fan's question. Let me first of all answer the question relating to the 2 old and valuable trees. We're going to preserve those 2 trees. They will stay in situ. In the contract, we will ask the contractor to engage tree experts to ensure that during the course of the works, the consultant will give advice as to how the 2 trees could be preserved. And they will also conduct periodic surveys to ensure that the 2 trees will not be affected because of the works. Regarding the objections we have received and how we dealt with those objections, I'll defer to my colleague. Thank you. During the course of the project, the works project gazetted in 2010. We received some objections. Together with the Highway Department and other departments, we discussed. We had meetings with the objectors. Having considered their views, in 2012 we gazetted the proposed amendments to the works. There were 4 amendments. First of all, along Hiram's Highway near Hiram's Villa, because there was an objection. In the original 2010 objection, outside of Hiram's Highway, we're going to erect noise barriers. The amendment will now is that we will remove the noise barriers here. We only maintain the central divide, the noise barrier in the middle, and also there will be next near Marina Cove, the original design is that there is going to be a pedestrian walkway which is close to the residential development. We received some objections to that proposal, and we've actually changed the alignment of that pavement. And you can see it in the diagram. This one and this one are the two old and valuable trees. It is exactly these two trees which will, I think we will change the alignment of the proposed road work so that we can preserve the two trees in situ. During the course of the project, we will urge contractors to ensure that they will maintain the trees properly. The two valuable trees will be surrounded and fenced off so they will not be hit by the machineries. And right now there's some concrete in the area. We will dismantle or break up the concrete so that the roots of the trees can breathe. I think you may need to hurry up. So there are 4 questions. My third response, again outside of Marina's Cove, the noise barriers originally were proposed to be erected in the blue area. We are now going to relocate them outside of the pavement, which is further away from the residential area. And next, the proposed area for land resumption has also been amended due to the objection by some local residents. Mr. Low Kok Wai. Thank you. Chairman, when I first obtained my driver's license, I very much like to drive to the new territories. It was really a pleasure to drive to the new territories. But as the population grew, one can only remember the good old days. But given the huge traffic volume, without the improvement works, it simply wouldn't work. And we need to, I am confident that our works team have adopted a very humanistic approach in the design for this project. It is also my personal experience that for this difficult project to widen the road, how can we ensure that traffic can still flow smoothly in the course of the project? I have some very good experience. For example, the extension of Tolo Highway, because I live in Hong Lok Yuen. In the course of the entire extension works, because I drive every day along Tolo's Highway, there had not been a single day during which there had been congestion because of the works going on. So the Highways Department ensure that there will be, a definite number of carriageways which are open. So there are different challenges during different sections of the project. So if you really need to erect noise barriers, I hope that in your design, you will ensure that the drivers will not have the feeling that they are driving, in a tunnel. The noise barriers along Tolo's Highway is really, frustrating, and because Tolo Highway it's located in a very beautiful, very scenic area, but all these noise barriers are not transparent. Previously, people can enjoy the scenery of Tolo Harbor. Now they can't. I understand that the local residents also have other strong views about the noise barriers. They don't want you to erect noise barriers along certain sections. If indeed you're going to erect noise barriers, I hope you will ensure that you will at least, keep some of the views. Although it may not be as pleasurable as before when driving the new territories, at least you should ensure that drivers will not have the feeling that they are driving in an enclosed tunnel. And also for residents living in the area, if the noise barriers are not transparent, it will have an adverse visual impact. So you must cater to that in your design. After you've extended one section of the road, a new bottleneck may appear, as in the case of the extension of Tolo Highway. After they've extended the Tolo Highway, they will next need to widen the fending section. I'd like to point out that while you're extending the road, you have to prepare for bottlenecks which may appear in the future so that you can preempt the problem before it actually happens. Secretary, Director, or Undersecretary. Thank you, Mr. Low, for your comments regarding the performance of our engineers. Of course, we would take on board the reminder that you have given us. You've given us 2 reminders. I'll ask my colleagues to respond to your point about the noise barriers. You also pointed out that new bottlenecks may appear in the future. And we're equally concerned about that. So for phase 2 of the extension works for Hiram's Highway, we would also like to liaise to the stakeholders concerned so that we can start the project earlier. Chairman, I wonder whether I have time to finish. Regarding the design of the noise barriers, we also will attach a lot of importance to the visual impact. So we would therefore try to ensure that the noise barriers would not be too tall. Regarding the materials used to make the noise barriers, we want to ensure that they will be transparent and will not block the views. Next, Elizabeth Quad. Thank you. I think the extension of Hiram's Highway has been under discussion for a long time. Many different stakeholders have put forward many views. I've also participated in some of the meetings of the rural committees in Sai Kung, and I can't imagine that that people can spend a very long time just because they want to erect a high phone or a pai lao.
Of course, I support the project. I just hope that it can be implemented smoothly and completed on time, and then we can move on to the next phase. So, Chairman, my question is, do you anticipate problems that would lead to cost rises and completion delayed? Well, I can answer this question. It's just expected. I thank the members for giving their support and also for expressing the wish that the project can be completed as scheduled. From our discussion here and also in the discussion of the PWSC and the FC, I hope members would support the project, and then we can get the funding approval earlier, and then we can then start. Will there be circumstances that we cannot expect? Or so I'm not in a position to guarantee anything, but our engineering people would overcome all the engineering problems, and there are other problems such as land resumption. We have already factored in such matters in the timetable. Anyway, we will proceed with caution. I think what I can say is that we will proceed with caution. I just hope that there will be no filibustering that would hinder the progress. So we have spent 7 to 8 years before we reach this stage. You have only got 4 measures, or you have done 4 things to respond to their concerns. There are more than 4 objectors. Is there a possibility that people will protest once you decide to go ahead with the project? Chairman, it's not an easy question to answer. They usually aren't. With the development going forward, people will see the need. What have you done to address objections? I think the major recommendations have mostly been taken on board and dealt with. But there are people who have a fundamental objection to the widening of the highway. So it's not compatible with the project per se. So would they be taking certain action? I cannot foretell members. But from what we heard in the district, the mainstream opinion is in support of the project. Can you say something about the proposed new approach of getting an all-in, all-inclusive contract price. Well, this is about sharing of risk. Sharing of risk is between the government and the contractor, I understand. But over the years, your prices went up. So I was proposing that you go for a new approach to leverage on the market forces. Well, the contractor can resort to different means to lay claims, for example, recoup the additional costs. Well, if they make a wrong estimate, they can recoup the cost through claims. Well, they are resourceful. Well, if they want to make claims, they can do whatever they want because the problems lie with your wrong cost estimate and inflation projections. Well, actually, the ratio of projects with correct cost estimates is not high. Well, since I joined the PWSC, it seems that all of the projects require provisional or additional provision. What about the traffic lanes? Are you talking about the uphill section of Hiram's Highway, Chairman? That's the connection point between the old highway and the new highway. And then it's all the way uphill, and it will be merged to 2 lanes. And after the widening, it will be 3 lanes all the way up. Two lanes for uphill traffic? At present, yes. It will be 3 lanes. At the connection point, the junction between the old highway and the new highway, there will be 3 instead of 2 lanes. All right, members, do you support the submission of this item to the PWSC? Okay, supported. Thank you. Next, proposed revision to fees and charges relating to road traffic. So I would give the floor to the administration first. Who would like to speak, members? Mr. Frankie Yek, Mr. Wong Kok-heng, anyone else? Mr. Cheng Tam Lau and Mr. Poon Siu Peng.
副局長繼續留守。好，我哋歡迎另外幾位官員入嚟。我諗都可以開始㗎啦嚇。
主席，今日我哋提交委員會討論嘅文件呢
Under Secretary, Chairman, this is about revision of fees, proposed revision of fees and charges relating to road traffic, batch 2. And also we want to propose the removal on a permanent basis of fees for issuing passenger service licenses and PSL certificate in respect of school private line buses. In July last year, we proposed the first batch of revision of fees and charges to consult members, and they took effect on the 9th of June. This time we have a second batch. There are 2 major categories. We proposed to revise 18 government fee items relating to road traffic, and we also proposed revision to 6 fee items charged by operators of designated car testing centers, which are private operations. On government fees and charges, we have acted in accordance with the Financial Secretary's 2013-14 budget speech and we have calculated the cost, and we are now list out 16 items in Annex A. The rate of increase is from 9 to 20%, and we are going to reduce 2 free items by 72%, so as to adjust it to the level of full cost recovery. These fees have not been revised for many years, and they will not affect people's livelihood. Among them, there are 2 that may have an impact on the transport sector. The Transport Department has consulted the relevant trade organizations, and they have no objection to the proposed revision. The Transport Department will continue to enhance its efficiency and reduce their costs. It's estimated that the revenue would increase by $600,000 per annum. As for the fee items charged by private DCTCs, they are private operations, but the fees have to be revised in accordance with this procedure in the law. These private DCTCs fees has remained the same since 1995. The operating costs of these DCTC have increased in recent years, partly because upon the request from the Transport Department, they have to deploy more manpower and extend the operating hours of the centers to cope with the increase in demand for annual examinations. DCTC operators have earlier applied to the TD to raise the fees by 15%. Having considered the financial viability of DCTCs and the stability of motorists, we propose to increase the fee items by about 10%, so that they are on par with the proposed fee increase for government VECs. This will enable DCTC to be continually financially viable, so that operators can provide the necessary vehicular examination services, which are essential in maintaining road safety. The DTCTs are self-financing. The relevant fee increases will not generate additional revenue for Hong Kong. The Transport Department will work with the DTCCs to streamline their procedures and work so as to keep the cost at a reasonable level. Let me now talk about the proposal to remove on a permanent basis the fees for issue of PSL and PSL certificate in respect of school private light buses. At present, the Transport Department issues certificates to regulate the 4 types of service vehicles as school private light buses, private buses operating student service, and non-franchised public buses. They are required to display the PSL certificate on the vehicles. And since 1999, through administrative arrangements, the Transport Department has been waiving the fees for the issue of PSL and PSL certificate in respect of school private light buses. We believe that the waiver facilitate the operation of nanny vans and provide better service for students, and also to provide financial certainty for operators of SPLB services. We would like to waive on a permanent basis the fees charged for the issue of PLC and PSL or PSL certificate. The cost implication is that we are going to forego a few $100,000, and we would proceed if members support this proposal. Mr. Wong Kok-heng, if the government wants to recover costs, and you say you want to do it in phases and you do not want to affect people's livelihood, then I would say it's acceptable. But if within 1 or 2 years or in 1 to 3 phases, you increase the fees and charges excessively, then people would object. You would make people dissatisfied. I understand the Transport Department is acting in accordance with the principle, but according to the Financial Secretary's budget speech, the same principle of gradual increase is not adopted, and they want the FS wants to increase fees and charges very quickly. For example, crematoriums services.
So I'm worried that different departments have different approaches. So could the Secretary clarify this point, that is, regarding the principle of cost recovery? What exactly is the position and the principle that you go by? So that's my first question. Secondly, in the annex to the paper, you also refer to the fees for rickshaws. And I'm looking at the first annex, items 14 and 15, or 15 and 16 rather. But this is only a very small fee, a small charge. The increase is only, $2 to $5. What I'm concerned about is how many licenses for rickshaws have you issued now? We all know that rickshaws only serve tourists, and I don't think rickshaws can again become, a form of public transport. So if this is something that cannot be revived, but however we can, I think it's a good idea and a gimmick if we were to revive rickshaws in order to attract tourists. But in Central District and Tsim Sha Tsui, I wonder whether there's still any rickshaws left. It would appear that there are few and few rickshaws in Hong Kong now. So I'm worried that very soon there won't be any more rickshaws. So even if you're going to increase the license fees, it wouldn't serve any purpose. So could you tell us what exactly is the current situation, especially on the peak near Leeward Road? I've always appealed to the operators, rickshaw operators, that they should promote the rickshaws, and if rickshaws could, take the tourists for a ride around the peak, I think it will actually benefit, many people. So have you ever considered that? So my question is about the number of rickshaws and also the current situation. Two questions. First of all, the principle of the department and the bureau, it's stated in the 4th paragraph of the paper. So we are going to adopt a policy of gradually recover the full cost, and we want to ensure that the adjustments to the fees will not be too drastic. So the different cost recovery rate and the percentage by which the cost will be adjusted. And also if you look at Annex A, you'll find that we have actually abided by this principle. And that's why our departments have tried to achieve cost recovery according to this principle. Regarding rickshaws, I have noticed that in London, for example, rickshaws could be a tourist attraction. So, Mr. Wong, I will certainly, reflect your suggestion to the tourism board. Regarding the number of rickshaws and the licenses issued, I'll ask the Transport Department to give you the details. Thank you. According to our record, there are only 3 rickshaws which are licensed in Hong Kong.
係有一部咧，應該喺山頂。
One of which is operating on the peak, and one in the urban area, and the other one in the New Territories. These rickshaws are licensed. Whether or not they're in operation and how they operate, we really do not know. But the rickshaw operating on the peak, I understand, is still operating. Chairman, just one supplement. I very much hope that the Transport and Housing Bureau will consider, incorporating rickshaws as part of the measures to promote tourism for Hong Kong. The only 3 license issued, the licensees are probably in the 80s or 90s, and they simply cannot operate the rickshaws. So I think rickshaws is part of our collective memory. So I think very soon it will vanish, and that would really be a pity. I hope you will go back and give my suggestions, some thought. Next, Mr. Chi Ming. Thank you, Chairman. I have several questions. If I cannot finish during the first round, please give me a chance for a second round of questions. Regarding the nanny buses, I think we understand the difficulties under which they operate. Previously, they operated on a half-day session. Now we have whole-day school. So instead of 4 shifts, they now operate only 2 shifts per day. The business has actually deteriorated, and also the number of students riding on these nanny buses tend to decline in the course of the school term. And you're now proposing to waive them waive the license, the passenger license, service license fees. But according to existing ordinance, for public buses and private buses, the license fees are calculated according to the number of seats. For public light buses, it's $50. Private buses, $45 for nanny buses. Since they only have 16 seats per bus, for a 28-seater, for example, a private bus, the license fees is $1,400 something. A 16-seater nanny bus, right now they need to pay $2,749. So there's no consistent charging principle. So when you're going to review the fees, could you consider whether or not you could also be more consistent and take on board the difficulties under which the nanny bus operators are operating? And secondly, if the bus is due for testing, the car testing center simply cannot cope, and people have to queue up for a long time before the vehicles can be due for testing. So I'd like to appeal to car owners also to plan well in advance, a couple of months beforehand, to ensure that you can test your car on time. The designated car testing centers, some of them operate on Saturdays, some do not. On Sundays, they're all closed. The trade has also made inquiries with these DCTC. They say there's no problem. They're willing to operate on Sundays as well. But the TD is not open for business. Their computers are not working on Sundays, and therefore they cannot issue licenses during weekends and Sundays. Given that the queue is getting longer and longer, people wait for longer and longer, and given the inconvenience cost, would they consider also inviting the DCTCs to operate on Sundays as well? If they're willing to work on Sunday, would you be willing to switch on your computers at the TD so that we can, maintain the service? Why don't you answer this question first before I ask my other questions? 2 questions. Why is it that the fees for nanny buses are so odd? Regarding the passenger service license fees, our principle is that we should aim for cost recovery when setting the fees and also when adjusting the fees. Regarding the annual license fees, we do not simply consider the cost. There is also a tax element in the license fee. And the tax authorities have always, for historical reasons, have also maintained a certain policy. The large adjustment was made in 1991 regarding the passenger service licenses for nanny buses, since different policy considerations are involved. And that's why you have this situation. Regarding the license fees, the setting of license fees involve public finance considerations as well as transport policy considerations. And the government from time to time will review such fees. At the moment, the current the fees are pegged at the current level. The trade is not against your proposed adjustment. They're just wondering why the fees for public buses and nanny buses are not the same. Undersecretary, could you talk to the IRD about this? I think while they set the policy, however, the Transport Department is the department to enforce it. So I think we need a response from them. So I think that he won't be able to give you an answer today. My second question is about the car testing center. Can you open also for operator on Sunday as well? Thank you, Mr. Yik. First of all, let me clarify that the DCTC at the moment are not directly linked to the computer at our TD. So whether or not TD works on Sundays and Saturday, if we do not work on weekends and Sundays, it doesn't mean that they cannot operate on Sundays. And also, according to the mode of operation, of course they will also need to have a break on Sundays. But I understand that some car testing centers also work on Sundays, depending on the circumstances, especially over the last month or so, because towards the end of the year, more people tend to take the cars to the such centers for testing. We're now exploring the possibility of extending their service hours. But then they have constraints in terms of human resources and so on. So there's no question. The question whether or not the computers are linked up with the Transport Department is not an issue. So in other words, that is not an issue, whether or not the computers are linked to yours. So, well, in that case, I'll clarify this further with the members of the trade. I also like to point out that the queue is getting longer and longer. I hope you will work harder on this problem. You can ask the car testing centers to expedite the work or extend the operating hours. Very often they are the it is the SMEs which actually help the car owners repair the vehicles and take them to the centers for testing. I'm sure the administration has heard that already. Mr. Chen Kam-lam. Chairman, I think the principle of cost recovery is not something that we would object to. But the way you achieve cost recovery, I wonder whether that could be done over a longer period of time. The government now is financially, quite well off, and I don't think we need to achieve cost recovery urgently. Regarding the license fees, some of them actually have a welfare nature. For example, the vehicles owned by handicapped persons, and I think charging a discounted fee is reasonable. When the government consider setting such fees, the government set them at a lower fee level. We want to encourage more vehicles which could be used to serve the disabled persons. On cost control, I've always maintained that certain license fees can actually be handled electronically. For example, the renewal of driving licenses or vehicular licenses or vehicle registration and so on. Actually, the renewals could be done electronically, and that can actually help save the actual cost incurred. I hope the government will consider this further, and you can consider the fees for car testing, car registration, and so on, and find out whether or not you could do it electronically so that we can cut down on your costs in terms of human resources and office overheads and so on. For the DCTCs, the government car testing center, of course, may be under a lot of pressure to cope with the demand, and that's why they are outsourcing some of the work to the private contractors outside. While I support that, I want to ensure that there must be competition in the market. Very often, the government car testing center charges a fee which is based on cost recovery. whereas the DCTC do not just want to recover costs, they want to make a profit. So I think we must have a proper balance there. On the one hand, we must ensure that they can continue to operate. On the other hand, we cannot allow the fees to be set at too expensive a level. And so Mr. Yik had already said that if we could let more of the DCTCs to extend the working hours so that the waiting time could be shortened, then I think this is something we should do.
Don't say that it's not our business if they don't offer services during the weekends. We have to look at market demand. If they don't do it, maybe the administration should do it. The government should do it.
Yeah.
So as to enhance efficiency all over. Please note this. Let me respond to the views of Mr. Chan concerning using electronic communication to enhance efficiency. Well, in some items, we can reduce the some of the fees. Item 10 and 11, supply of each form of a certificate of roadworthiness, because we have gone down the route of electronic communication, we can reduce the fees. As for private DCTCs, they charge fees in accordance with the law. They cannot overcharge the motorists. And at the same time, the Transport Department wants them to provide extended hours of service, and their costs have gone up. We just want to align their service level with those of the government, and that's why we propose the revision of fees for DCTCs. Mr. Poon Siu Hing. Well, the government insists that there should be full cost recovery, and there should be the user pays principle. So what are you going to recover? Are you going to cover rent, manpower, and even the tax element is included? Because the cost differs a lot. There are only 3 rickshaws, for example. For DCTCs, we know that the waiting time is long, and now you want to increase the fees by 10%, in order that they can increase manpower. All right, after the 10% increase, have you assessed the reduction in waiting time that can be achieved? At present, you can only get the examination done in 3 months' time. You queue up in February, the service will only be provided in May. You know, time is money. I'll ask the Transport Department to respond to the 2 questions raised by Mr. Poon. Mr. Jiang, thank you. Mr. Poon, when it comes to cost recovery, we are mainly talking about staff costs and resources that we have devoted to the exercise. So for the government, we are talking about the remuneration and benefits for our employment benefits of our staff. We are not doing it as a business. And as for DCTCs, we have been conducting a review. Actually, we started last year. Annually, according to statistics last year, we have 310,000 vehicles requiring examination. And the manpower capacity is 400,000. But private cars, there are more private cars requiring examinations. And starting from the last year, we have introduced short-term and medium-term measures to address the waiting time issue. You're talking about $400,000 being the capacity, 310,000 being the number of vehicles. There should be no need for vehicles to queue up for examination. Well, for your information, Chairman, we have 22 private DCTCs. They have been around for a long time. With urban development, most DCTCs are in the urban area. For individual DCTCs with a long waiting time, they're mainly in the NT. Maybe if there are people living in the NT and the motorists are now living mainly in the NT. So there's an uneven distribution of workload. We would talk to the DCTCs in order to increase the number beyond 22. In the middle of this year or towards the end of this year, we expect to see some progress.
即係換句説話，其實加嗰10%都未必係解。
So the 10% increase in fees may not address the current problems of long waiting time. You need to talk to the trade to work out something else. Yes, we are talking to them. We are going to increase the number of privately operated DCTCs. Their total capacity can serve 400,000 vehicles, and there are 310,000 requiring examination. Well, it's just like land supply. You want to increase land supply. You do not just want to increase the premium. Well, actually, there's been no fee revision in more than 10, actually 19 years. And now we propose an increase of $65. Mr. Tang Ka-piu. We have just had the budget delivered, and the Transport Department would get the biggest increase in revenue. More than $1 billion additionally will be collected by the Transport Department. So what are other fee items that you are going to revise in the future? You don't need to tell us the timetable of the rates of increase, but do give us a checklist regarding which fees items will be subject to the cost recovery or user pays principle. I don't want a lot of details. I just want to have a checklist, a list. Next, let me turn to the school private light buses. The operation is difficult because if they increase the fees charge, parents would just stay away. The average is $800 a month for a child, and if they can make 2 rounds, they only net $24,000 per month for 16 seaters, and a seat will have to be reserved for one caretaker, and then they cannot operate around the year. There will be the holidays of school holidays, and the driver is usually someone who is between the age of 50 and 70, and the nanny is the wife of the driver, and that's the typical setup. Now you want to remove the fees permanently. Of course, it's supported. That shows your appreciation of the difficulties, but can more be done? I've been given this suggestion from the union. For 16 seaters, private light buses with 16 seats, can the capacity be increased to 19 seats? Actually, there can be 20 seats, but one will have to be used by the nanny. If the seating capacity can be increased, and they are not going to bring any pressure to other modes of public transport, because if you do this for public buses, taxis, and other modes of transport may protest. If you increase the capacity, then they will face a lower pressure for charging a higher fee on parents. Can you consider this? for fees and charges subject to cost recovery, well, they will be subject to regular review to see whether there should be upward or downward adjustments. For the time being, we don't have the next batch, the so-called next batch of fees that will be revised. So that's the first question. Second, Mr. Tang, you mentioned a suggestion from the Nelly van operators. In our public transport strategic study, the school bus service will be covered. And there will be a chance for you to offer comments for these light buses, public and private light buses. They are subject to constraints set out in the law. If we want to change anything in the law, we need to propose legislative amendments. And I propose that we discuss it in due course in the transport panel. Well, if you look at the phasing out of the diesel commercial vehicles, the vehicle owners are just deterred from buying new diesel vehicles. Mr. Lee again. Well, in principle, I do not object to the cost recovery principle. But for this government, we should let it because it's flooded with revenue and surplus. And in this budget, it draws a blank. Nothing is proposed to address the surplus, and they are giving out sweeteners. So there's more than the government needs. There's no need for the government to charge higher fees. You want to recover costs, but there are huge surpluses, and so it's a contradiction. And here you want to recover costs, you want to increase the examination fees. On the other hand, you want to support the transport sector. You want to waive the examination fee for a year. So you can't have it both ways. You want to increase fees, and you also want to waive fees. It's a contradiction. And I'm not talking about an isolated case. And it's not just about the transport department. I think for the government as a whole, that we should not allow any fee increase. Because this is not the right way to manage public finance. So to me, it's a simple matter. Forget it, apart from one item. And I won't object to that one. It's a fee reduction. The excess recovery rate is 360%, and now it should be reduced to 99%. I don't know the history. I don't know why the fee charged for the form is set at 360% of cost recovery. I don't know why. Maybe you should explain. Well, actually, sometimes things are not within your jurisdiction, and of course, you are not responsible for proposing the fee waiver, and now you want to increase the fees because of cost recovery. But in principle, in terms of philosophical principles, we see a contradiction here. Is there a contradiction, Under Secretary? Or since we have to handle public finance based on principles, and fee increases when warranted should be introduced. The Baker's principle here is to recover the full cost, and then we have to adhere to the user pays principle. And these will not affect the general livelihood. So we think that whatever is warranted should be implemented. For the two items in items 10 and 11, well, the cost has come down after computerization, so the fees should be reduced. But the review is a regular exercise. So whatever should be increased should increase, and the vice versa is also true. As for the waiver of a vehicle examination fee for one time, this is a one-off concession because the sector has encountered specific problems during a specific period. So the Financial Secretary has proposed a measure to alleviate the problem. But we think that we should also propose fee increases to maintain the integrity of the system. So you want to recover full cost for all fees. And for a particular year, if there's a surprise, it's another matter that the sweeteners should be given out. And also, if there's a deficit, you are not going to propose fee increase if full cost recovery has been achieved. So what's the purpose of having a fee increase and a fee waiver at the same time?
Why don't you reduce the fees altogether to provide relief in the long term? So I think it's really redundant. Well, you've not convinced the leader you are being contradictory. Okay, Dr. Kwok, you are next. Chairman, these proposed fee increases shouldn't be too controversial, but the point is that the government has very poor financial discipline. We're going to have surplus more than $90 billion. The government is giving freebies away more than $30 billion. Now, I'm most against the proposed fee adjustment for the 5.5-ton lorries. For private vehicles, we understand that the owners have to shoulder part of the responsibility, whether they need to pay for the licenses or have the cars tested. For the business vehicles, PLBs, lorries more than 5.5 tons, they are already operating under difficult circumstances. Why are you still increasing the fees and giving them waivers at the same time? Why is the government doing that? Because all these will have an adverse impact on the people at the grassroots level. If you want to recover full cost, you should go after the property developers. They are speculating so much on properties. You're in charge of the housing portfolio. You should know this. We've suggested we should increase the profits tax and also property developers, if they hoard any land, we should charge them a fee. You're not doing all that. And for people like Li Ka-shing, you are not doing anything. You are now targeting the lorry and PLB operators. Are you being insensitive to the here? And regarding car testing, the officials told us that you don't have to wait if you go to the car testing centers located in the urban areas. Some of the Kai Fongs have complained to us that on Hong Kong Island they have to wait for more than 2 months, even if they go to a car testing center on Hong Kong Island. And it's longer in the new territories. I think you must clarify this point. Now that you propose to increase the fees, does it mean that you can expedite the speed at which they will test the vehicles? There are 22 TCs. That number has remained for more than 10 years, and you're still talking about whether you will conduct a review. Now the DCTCs are not worried about the business. And also, after you have increased the fees, will the profits go up dramatically? And will that benefit the frontline staff, or will the big organizations stand to gain? We understand that the DCTCs are actually, companies under big consortiums. Under Secretary, Chairman, I think Dr. Kwok is only referring to the adjustments to the fees charged by the car testing centers. You'll find that the range of adjustment is only about slightly more than 10%. So this is not a major burden for the car owners. I don't believe that the general public will find that they will be very much affected adversely. The Chairman, is a better principle. Well, the principle is, Chairman, is that we believe that such fees should be adjusted following the user pay principle. If the operators encounter any difficulties, should the government provide relief to them, and this is exactly why there are other factors which determine whether the government should help these people. For example, we're now proposing to waive some of the car testing fees for exactly this reason. Well, you're talking about the political initiatives like people who have been affected by the Occupy Central movement. If you want to start another, hot issue, I'm happy to really have a debate. Regarding relief for the trade, they are based on separate, different principles governing the fee adjustments. I also asked the TD to further supplement. Thank you. Regarding the DCTCs, they operate as a private business, but the fees they charge are regulated by the government. At the moment, I think the fees they charge are the same as those charged by the government car testing centers. We've not studied as to how much the profits they're making, but the fees have not been adjusted for more than 10 years, and the trade has asked for more than a 10% adjustment. Actually, they have actually asked for more, a 15% increase. But for the sake of consistency, we're only allowing them to raise the fees by 10%. So I don't believe this will enable them to make a huge profit. I must also say that I said earlier that there are more DCTCs in the new territories. They have more business, so the queues are longer in the new territories. Well, since the two of you hold a different view, could you show all the people of Hong Kong which are the DCTCs where we can have vehicles tested immediately? 30%. Obviously, these centers are not distributed evenly. Obviously, there may be some centers where nobody will go to. Well, on the internet, you can find out the locations about these DCTCs. And the car owners can also call up these centers about how long they need to wait. Chairman, in the urban areas, some people living on Hong Kong Island complain that it takes 2 months for them to have the cars tested. So where did you come up with these figures? So the difference between the capacity of 300,000 and 400,000, is it the case that the capacity of 400,000 is simply something that you've arrived at yourself? I've already said that the capacity of 400,000 is something that we've worked out. But the point is that vehicle owners can choose to go to any car testing center, so there may be a problem of uneven distribution. It's rather odd. Looking at the capacity, you should look at each car testing center. That is how many vehicles they can test if there is no waiting list and no queues. If people have to queue up, no matter which center they go to, then obviously your figure of 400,000 obviously is wrong. How did you arrive at this figure, Mr. Paul Chair? Well, the user pay principle, or robbing the rich to help the poor, are noble principles. But when they're being enforced, there are contradictions. Mr. Lee Chee-yen, of course, propose a broad brush approach, and this is not something that the government should adopt. But the topic today is not about the car testing centers. Many members have expressed their views. Must declare that I'm also a car owner. I've waited for a few months, and yet my car is not yet have a chance to be tested yet. Which car center did you go to? I also like to put in a request that the government should give us greater transparency and also conduct a more detailed and objective analysis, so that there's a lot of public discontent over this issue. We don't want to add another queue of frustrated car owners on top of the public housing tenants and so on and so forth. Earlier, because recently there have been some incidents of corruption, as a result of which you now have this problem. People have to wait for a long time. So did you warn the car owners well in advance? Why is it they didn't have to wait for so long last year and they have to wait for so long this year? Because it would seriously affect the owners of business vehicles. Have you considered whether the fact that that towards the end of the year there will be a jump in demand and so on? You told us that you have a capacity of 300,000, but during the peak period the demand may be different. So all these you should have already planned for. If you are sensitive to public sentiment, I think you could have handled the situation much better. The 10% is not a drastic increase, but then on top of the fact that they have to queue up for such a long time, and yet you're still increasing the fees. You are actually adding to the sufferings. Given that there are different types of vehicle owners, well, would it be possible that for those vehicles where the fees are higher, you provide a fast track service so that when some owners who need to have their car tested urgently, they can get their vehicles tested if they pay a higher fee? Mr. Chair, how much more are you prepared to pay? Oh, you just want to ask the question. I think the first part of Mr. Chair's, speech were just comments. Let me ask another question. Of course, I have not considered whether the administration can, have that flexibility. Would it be the case like the restriction on milk powders? Could you first allow people to renew the license and have their vehicles tested at a later date? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me clarify that for all business vehicles, they are not tested at the DCTCs. According to the figures available to us, there had not been a drastic increase in the number of business vehicles. And these vehicles are tested at the government car testing centers, and the situation has not remained has remained the same. And I've not received many complaints. They really have to wait. They don't have to wait for a long time. Other than the 260 light lorries, less than 1.9 tons which are tested at DCTCs, the number is not significant. The procedure for vehicle testing only required 20 minutes. Basically, the technicians will only check the brakes and the lamps and whether or not the body of the vehicle is damaged. People now have to queue up for the vehicles to be tested, and sometimes they have to wait for an additional 20-30 minutes. But the procedure involved remains the same. It only takes about 20 minutes. I'm talking about the appointment time. Well, every year before the Chinese New Year, there would be a peak. Actually, starting from December last year, October last year, we already stepped up our publicity and appeal to people to register well in advance. Actually, you can arrange for, make a booking for your vehicles to be tested 4 months in advance. We also have posters appealing people to do it well in advance. We have 1 more minute before we are supposed to adjourn, so I declare now that I will adjourn our meeting, extend our meeting by 15 minutes. Ms. Claudia Mo, followed by Mr. Yip. Mr. Yip. Thank you, Chairman. I thought we were going to adjourn. It will certainly allow you a second chance. The officials told us on one hand they're going to increase the fees, on the other hand they will offer waivers and sweet, freebies. So they operate according to 2 separate principles.
Well, this is a strange philosophy managing public finance. You increase fees on the one hand, and then you want to offer a waiver as well. Well, how about the administrative costs involved? It seems the civil servants are trying to get some workload. They try to collect more, and on the other hand, they will give it back. We have been talking about millions here and billions there, but if you look at the vehicle license for the disabled, it will be increased from $12 to $14. How mean can you be? Well, these people have the need to drive a car, can you not waive the license fees on a permanent basis so that we can save all the troubles? Maybe I can ask the Transport Department colleague to explain the nature of this license. It's not the ordinary vehicle driven by the disabled. We are talking about invalid carriage, and we're not talking about here the private cars converted for the use of by the disabled. Actually, for these vehicles driven by the disabled, the license fees and the first registration fees have been waived. But this is a legacy problem. We follow the UK practice. There isn't any in Hong Kong. Well, why do you provide for this? It's misleading. I thought it was about the vehicles driven by the disabled. Well, so the administrative cost is incurred unnecessarily, and our discussion is also rendered meaningless. Let me ask the Transport Department to explain why we need this. It's in the law, and we need to calculate. And we need to comply with the user pays principle, and we need to take into account the staff cost. According to a record, that there isn't none. So there's a fee item, but there's no user, no client. Well, it's still in the law. Well, there are such vehicles overseas. Why do we need to have this? Because this type of vehicle is available in other markets. They can be imported any time. Otherwise, if we don't have this, we will not be able to handle the application. What kind of vehicle are we talking about? What kind? Mr. Zhang? Well, you can find this type of vehicle in other places. Where? France? It can be used by the disabled motorists only. There will be no passenger seat. We haven't got any in Hong Kong. So it's a vehicle for the driver, for the motorist only. And we don't have this in Hong Kong, but we have this fee item in our system. Okay, Mr. Frankie, yeah, 3 minutes. I'll be quick. I think the department has clarified that the DT computer is not linked up with the Transport Department's computer, but the DTCT has to check information from the Transport Department's computer in carrying out the service. Because of a long waiting time, they have people on standby so that we can make phone inquiries. They also provide service during the weekend. I have this list. Please tell us whether any centers are offering service over the weekend. Please let me know, because at present there isn't any. We have a very acute situation. I hope you will ask your staff to be on standby during the weekend, so that if some DTCC are willing to offer services during the weekend, then they can make the necessary inquiries with the department. And we also have a problem for the trade. All the goods vehicles are examined in Kowloon Bay. But you know, goods vehicles are mostly registered for operations in NT. So they have asked whether there can be one center in Sha Tin, so that they will not be causing congestions of the Lion Rocks Tunnel. We have 22 DCTCs. It has been the case for years. There's been no increase. Many of them are big corporations. And there's garages, small and medium-sized workshops, which are well equipped. But in the past, the fleet of vehicles has grown significantly. So you shouldn't have waited until now to consult the trade whether more centers should be set up. You said that the examination time has not changed. Well, I don't agree. As Mr. Porter has said, before that, the incident testing was done more quickly, and now they are very cautious. And after the ferry incident, the examination time of vessels has increased significantly. So don't argue with me about this. Well, can we consider as a matter of priority the provision of a center in Sha Tin? First, you said the sector did not require support from the Transport Department, or the DTCC did not require the service of DT, and they said they had to. So please clarify which is true. There's a proposed public hearing on bus service scheduled for the 11th of April. It's now been rescheduled for 14th of April at 9:30, and the next regular meeting will be March, 20th of March. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.